Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Talk about a few things. We were yesterday. We were talking about our advanced report and we had added a few cult fields. We have discovery boards enabled us, which was not the case earlier today. Let's look at this report first. All I want to add a new report or talk about a few more cult fields. And these are very simple cult fields. These are calculated fields of type next. And these are very similar to our again. Exec related functions we do. We can get a substring. We can concatenate string. We can do a text constant and on and forth. These are very simple functions. Adding. I'm adding this field, which is social security number. They're all. I'll not use this one. There is a delivered field for this, but I just want to show you how this calc field works. I'm using the field, which shows the full social security number details, and then do a substring. I've added this field, social security number SSN, and it pulls the 9-digit SN for an employee. Let me do one thing. Let me add a filter that we only get employees with SSN and not blank. Thank you. We are getting, when I run this report, this field would basically give you give me the full 9 digits of social security number. I don't want to display the entire 9 digits. What I would want to display is probably only the last 4 digits. Now there's already a Workday delivered field for this, which shows only the last 4 digits of social security number. But just for the purpose of displaying or showing you how this calcul works, I'm still creating this calculation though. As I mentioned, there's a day delivered field for this. For that, what I would do is This is how I actually need data. I need first 5 digits to be masked. It should probably show me XX for the first 5 digits. And then followed by the social security number. That's how I want the data. I would create 3 cal fields for this. Let's actually one thing. Let's remove this. I'm creating a calc field. And the cal field is a... Oh, I don't have access to create cal fields for the report. I don't have access to create a cal fields for that report, and I don't know why. Let's create a system-wide cal field. I'm creating this cal field, which is of type it. Substring text. The reason I'm creating this substring text because if you see out of these, 9 digits, I need to extract the last 4 digits. I need to get a substring. From creating this calcul called substring text. My source field is social security number. And then I have a number of options available. If again these are similar to our Excel functions. Let's say my data looks. Let's assume this is how I think I have. Let's assume this is how my data looks ABC. Followed by, let's say this special character, and then maybe this is how my data looks. And I want to extract all data after this opening parenthesis. Then I'll say substring type after delimiter, and in delimiter I'll select my opening brackets. This will give me everything after this delimiter. Maybe I want everything before the delimiter. I don't. I want everything which is before this delimiter. Then I'll change the direction. I'll say instead of forward, I'll ask system to check in the backward direction. I want everything in between these two delimiters. And instead of saying after the delimiter, I'll say between two delimiters. And then I'll specify the starting delimiter and the ending delimiter. There are quite a few options available for extracting the substring. Now, in our case, it's a 9-digit or a 9-character value. What I want is, I want to start or I want to ignore the first 5 characters. I want to extract substring starting at character number 6. And I want to get the data till the end. I could say fixed length. Or I can just say until the end of the. In our use case, both would work. I can just say starting from character number 6. Get me a fixed length of 4. But we know the SSN, as far as I know, would only have 9 digits. We need the last 4 digits. I'll simply say until the end of the text. Any one of these options would work, but based on the use case, one of these options could be more relevant than the other one. In our case, we are just saying get as the substring, starting at character 6 until the length of that source field. This is getting us the substring. I can go to my report and first I can add this substring and see how this looks, and then run it again and create that mask SM. When I run it now, it is giving me the last 4 digits, which is what we want, giving me the last 4 digits, which is what we want, but I want to do some fancy stuff. What I'm doing is I am again creating a new calc field. And that calcle would be of type concatenate text. And I'm calling it mask SN. This is what I want. I want the last 4 digits and I want the last 4 digits and I want to. And the first 5 digits, I want to be masked. For that, I'll simply create a calculated field, which is of type text constant. And I would create it on global business object. And this is that calc field that I'm creating. And the value would again be and maybe I'll add a hyphen in between. Go text. I created one substring text, a text constant, and then I have simply concatenated them all. Now I run my report using the new field. As I mentioned, there's already delivered fields for that. But I wanted to show you if there is a requirement, how we can use these functions. This is how I'm getting my data. This one more topic for real time. Related to advanced reports, relatively simple one. Let me quickly cover that as I'm creating a new custom report. This would be a very simple report. Type advanced. Worker for Hexium reporting. I'm calling it PMG2. Worker data group. What I want to do is I want to group my employees, my workers, based on, let's say the location they belong to. It's a very simple requirement. I'm adding a field called and what I also want is, let's say, a London location has 2 employees. I want to show London location. And under that location, I want to show these 2 employees, employee 1, employee 2. I also want to show the salary or base pay of those workers. Employee 1 base pay 100, employee 2 base pay 200. But then I also want to add this amount. Under location London, it should show me total base pay is 300 for these 2 employees and the count of 2. Similarly, then it should also show me location New York and on and forth. For that, I'm adding my fields first. The ones I want to display. Total base pay amount. Now I want to show the sum of total base pay amount. I'll go to the options and here I have an option called sum. And there are other options as similar to summarizing the matrix summarizing. Average minimum maximum. I want to add the total base pay for each of my workers. And I would also want to get a count of my workers. But then I want to group this information for different locations. Location A has X number of workers. This is the sum of the total base pay and this is the count which is. For that I would need to add one more field because I want to group my workers and the field is called group name. Have to add this field at the top. This is the field that Workday uses to group the data together. Now I'll have to do something else as I'll have to go to the sort tab and I need to group my workers based on the location they belong to. I'll come in here and I'll say I'll add location or this could be any other object. Maybe I want to group my workers based on their company or their call center or this could be anything else. I'm selecting location. I can start again. I have ascending, descending and all those options. I want to display the headers and I want to display the subtotals. When I select this option, that's when the subtotals are displayed. Let's run this. Is what I'll also do is I'll select only those locations where or I'll only select those employees whose total base pay amount is greater than 0. Thank you. All this, the first column that we added on our report was group name and then we went to the sorting tab and there we added location and we selected that option called display. Headers. When we do that, the report understands that we want to group people by the location they belong to, and this is what we did. We selected the first column as group name, and then in sorting, we said we want to group people by the location, and for each location we want to display subtotals. Now let's look at this location, Columbus. There are 2 employees. This is the total base pay. And this is the sum of the total base pay, and the count of employees in this location is 2. We can go ahead and further refine this report. What I'll do is, there are a few other options. Go ahead and edit this report again. This is fine, but what I'll also I want to enable outlining based on grouping. I want to display the grand total at the end. Let's see what happens when we enable outlining when we do that. With grand total at the end, it will show me the total to base pay amount, and it will show me the overall count. This is similar to that total row that is displayed at the end of the matrix report. When we select display grand total at the end, system displays that grand total. This is that grand total. There are overall, but then because now we have enabled outlining, our report looks much cleaner. It tells me for Kolkata there is just 1 employee and the total base pay amount is this. In Columbus there are 2 employees and this is the total base pay amount, and I can expand that cell and then it gives me the details. There are 2 employees. These are those 2 employees. This is their individual base salary and this is the overall base salary. If I want, I can also do sub-level groupings. In each location, let's say I want to group employees based on the supervisory organization they belong to. I can add further groupings or sub-level groupings for that. I can go back to sort. I can add still more fields by which I want to group data. I'm saying supervisory all, or this could be anything else. The supervisory organization. Again, I want to display headers. I want to display subtotals. Let's look at some more. Let's look at this location. It has 7 employees. When I expand it, it shows me that these 7 employees belong to these supervisory organizations. HR cum management has 1 employee. Property management has 3 of those 7 employees. And I can again go and expand it. I have created that sub-level grouping. If we want, we can show additional details. There are a few other options available. Instead of calling this group name, I would relabel it as, let's say, location. I can go to sort and I can include group name. That way it will show me the name of the location or supervisory org that gets included. I can also include the total label. This just adds those labels. Currently no labels are displayed, But here I can add a label saying that this is location or this is supervisory org. This is me labeling the overall column. I just relabeled that column group name to location, but those checkboxes I selected. That's what enables this. And similarly, when I come in, it enables. Here it shows this is a supervisory org. And we also said show total label. That's what those options enable these. Again, very simple. We usually don't create, at least in supervisory org. We usually don't have a need to create these kinds of reports. I have probably had this requirement once or twice in the last 6 years. But this kind of sorting and grouping and aligning options are available with your advanced reports as. That was the last topic within advanced reports. Any questions? What are discovery boards? Discovery boards, as I mentioned, again a reporting option that Workday has delivered. It provides a very simple drag and drop interface. The target audience for discovery board access is probably your super users, the HR administrators within the team, the managers, the compensation admins, the comm partners, the HR partners. They can use discovery boards to quickly create reports. Visualizations is what we call them, not worklets. They can quickly create these visualizations without a lot of technical understanding, and they can render them, they can share them, and on and forth. The discovery boards are not created using create custom report tasks. You create them from your drive. If you have access, you'll see this drive tab. And when you click on drive, you'll see any discovery boards that you have created that are shared with you here. At this point in time, you can create a new discovery board. I can come in here and I can create a new discovery board. The moment you create a new discovery board, you'll have to give a name. I'm calling it employee details. A system adds an empty sheet, those tabs that we saw on our dashboard when we created it. In Discovery Boards Workday, we call them sheets. System creates a sheet for you. And within that sheet, system adds a visualization for you. What is a biz? A biz is nothing but a worklet the moment I created this discovery board. System has added a sheet for me. I can go ahead and rename the sheet if I want to. I can click here. I can rename this sheet. I'll just call it staffing details. Just we add tabs on a dashboard. I can add more tabs, more sheets. I can create a duplicate sheet. I can delete this sheet or I can click here to add a new sheet. Each sheet is a collection of visualizations. What is a visualization? A visualization is a report. The same basic concepts apply. Just on a report, you select the data source. Here as on the left hand side, you have 3 different panels. The first panel which is currently highlighted, is the data source panel, and all the other panels are currently created out. The first thing you'll have to select is the data source. Only indexed data sources are available for creating your discovery boards. I'm selecting this data source called workers for HCM reporting. The second thing is at any point in time. And here I can change the data source and select a completely different data source. The moment I do that, if you see on this data source, has a data source filter. System presents me with the filter. Again, based on the report I'm creating, I can select one of the available filters. And here I am also getting those prompts. This data source comes with those 3 inbuilt prompts. Directly enter values here, in which in discovery boards, you don't. Workday doesn't prompt you anything. You'll have to enter or specify the default value. For all of the prompts, the system would not prompt you and ask you as the end user. I have no clue what is happening. If you have to basically enter the default values. I don't want to enter any default values now. Maybe I'll say, only get me data for employees. We don't need any contingencies, workers, or the moment you. The moment you enter the data source, the moment you enter your data source, the other panels are now available. The first panel that you have to enter or specify is your data source panel. Any point in time, as I mentioned, you can come back. And maybe you realize that this is not the data source. You can come back here and select a completely different data source. Unlike your reports, we have selected our data source. The next panel is the build panel or the builder panel. This is where, based on the data source you select, Workday shows you all the fields. Now these fields are grouped. For example, if I go to contact, system shows me all the content related fields. Workday has created these groupings and we can directly search for these fields here under contact. There are 3 fields grouped. I want to search for a field. I can directly search them from here. Now there are different types of visualizations that are available. The default visualization type is an advanced report. If you see, that's what I see here now. Based on the visualization type that you select, Workday would enable or show you drop zones. If I click on the selection or the visualization type, there are different types of visualization. We have a category called Advanced Report. Within that, we have one type called Table. Then we have a category called Matrix Report. And under that, we have 3 visualization types. And then there is this category. What is the difference? The difference is if I create a visualization using Table, which of category Advanced Report, once I have completed it, I can actually export it as a report. And when I do that, Workday automatically creates an advanced report for me. Based on all the filters, all the parameters you have selected. Similarly, if we create visualizations of type, pivot table or chart or donut chart, when we export them, Workday automatically creates a matrix report for us with all the details, and then we can further edit our matrix report. Visualizations of these type have been created specifically for discovery boards and they cannot be exported. When I say exported, you cannot convert them into custom reports. The first thing that you select is the type of or the visualization type. And based on the type, Workday enables these drop zones. For example, if I change the visualization type and select a pivot table, if you see now, I have a few additional drop zones enabled. The type of the visualization is the type of the type, defines what drop zones are available. Now a visualization of type table is exactly an advanced report. For example, I can search for different fields here. I'm searching for work. You cannot create any calc fields here, but any calc fields that are already created, they would all be available. If you see, people again have created all sorts of calculated fields, and they are all available and they can be used on a discovery board. All I need to do is I need to drag and drop. If a certain field cannot be dropped in a drop zone, Workday would basically create that drop zone out. At any point in time, you'll only be able to add a field into a drop zone if it is applicable. Now, the moment you add Workday, automatically reloads the visualization. I'm adding a new visualization called a new field, new attribute called date of birth. At any point in time, I can move them up and down. I can change the order, and again the query runs and it gets added. I can go ahead and change the name. And I'm calling it employee details. I want to add some filters to this visualization. Initially, when we selected the data source, we were able to add these. This was data source filter. But then I want to add some filter to this visualization. There's this third panel called filter panel wherein I can add my own custom filters. Now filters are of two types. I can add filter to the entire sheet or I can also add filter to this specific visualization. On this entire sheet and filters added to the sheet are applicable to all the visualizations on that sheet. At this point in time, if you see, I can go in and create a new visualization and later I can go ahead and change it. And this is it. Any filters added to the sheet are applicable to all the visualizations in that sheet. Here I'm saying only get me those workers whose date of birth is after, is before, is on. Do we have anything called not tick, not link? This is strange. There should be an option. And how can we select only those workers whose date of birth is not empty or after? I'll say is after, and I'm assuming there would be. Be any employee born before 1940 in this tenant, and the moment I make the changes, if you see my query, runs and then it refreshes. Oh, this is. Not sure why it's not getting me. This is strange. This could be a bug, but I haven't seen this earlier. This is pretty straightforward. This should be at least straightforward. Let's do with age. I think that. Instead of saying date of birth, say age. Age is greater than 1. Let's do that. All again, I don't know why age is greater than 1. It didn't work. I can also add any filter, which is specific to that visualization. This is sheet level filter, which means if you see it, it is applicable to both of them. But then if I want to apply some visualization, some filter only to this viz, I can click here. Apply the visualization and then I want a different filter for this viz. I can click there and apply the visualization. What I can also do is, I can convert a sheet level filter to a biz level filter. At some point in time, I realize this filter is not applicable, let's say to the entire sheet, and I should move it to biz. I can move it and the filter then only becomes applicable for that place. I want to disable a filter. I don't want to delete it. And maybe I would want to reuse it later. I can disable it without removing it. There are two options. Either I can disable the filter and then reuse it later, or I can remove it completely. Similarly, I can add visualization specific filter. Let's add it here. I want to add a clicker saying company. Why is that? I'm not getting in the list. The options is not in the selection list. It's in the list. I only want GMS companies. And I'm selecting, let's say, all of these. If you see, this filter is only applicable to this viz. If I go ahead and click on this viz, that filter doesn't show. Visualization or viz level filter, which I only selected for this viz. Can I move this filter to sheet? If you see, I can move a filter which was created for a specific visualization to the entire sheet or vice versa. I want to move this to the sheet. Now we have two sheet level filters, and this time they are applicable to both. Which is this? There's a fourth panel which is formatting panel, and this is only available for visualizations, which are in the top bucket. Which this fourth is only applicable to some of these visualizations. It gives you that option to select colors and all that formatting options. They're not available here. We see it's as simple as this. All I need to do is I need to select the visualization type and basically drop my fields. That's it. There are quite a few. I'll just pull one of these. I don't know. I can drop data and on and forth. This is a visualization of Type Advanced. As I mentioned, at this point in time I can go in here. I can download this as a CSV or I can export it as a report. When I export it as a report, Workday would go ahead and create a new custom report for me, which is of Type Advanced. Leave that there. Let's click on this visualization. I want to change it to, let's say, pivot table. Change the visualization type. The moment I do that, my FSC Workday automatically realigns my data. I don't want this. I don't want this. I'm selecting come. As I mentioned, when you drag and drop something, automatic Workday, would only enable those drop zones wherein that field can be dropped. If I go to summary fields, if you see the moment I drop this field is grayed out. I cannot drop company into these fields. There are two types of fields in here. The first one is the attributes itself. If when I click on this double chevron for each of these attributes, Workday automatically adds this. What do we call it? I missed it. Workday automatically for each attribute. Workday automatically shows this summarization. The moment I go to any attribute, system shows me this double chevron. And then I get this summarization for it. But then if I search for a numeric attribute, if I search for example, when I search for age, and in the case of numeric attributes, if you see, I get some additional summarization. Again, these are all automatically added by Workday, and I can make use of these values. Some of these drop zones only allow you to drop an attribute. When I say an attribute of workers at workers company is his attribute of workers. Date of birth is his attribute. Worker's age is his attribute. While age is an attribute field, these are all various summarizations. Some of these drop zones only allow you to drop summarizations in them. Other drop zones allow you to add attributes. Let's first add company. I'm taking company and I'm dropping company here. Obviously, there's just column level grouping. Workday is not showing me any data. I'm adding gender. And I'm adding gender here. Now system shows me data. This is that matrix report we created earlier. My column grouping is company. My row grouping is gender. I should instead move gender here. And I should move gender here. Add company as the row grouping. And then I can show sub-level groupings as this is again similar to how, in a matrix report, we can show sub-level groupings. Now it shows me companies on the left-hand side. Shows me gender as my column grouping, the default summarization. That Workday shows is the count, I again. This is similar to matrix report. The default values that Workday shows is the count for each of the company. System is showing me the count of males, females not willing to disclose. Close, but at this point in time I can select a different summarization as for example, let's see. Or I can come in here and I can get, let's see if I can get the average age. Instead of getting the default count, what I want is the average age of employees in each of these companies. And for a specific gender, when we add any attributes, the default summarization is count. But then we can select a different summarization type as for every numeric and currency field. Workday automatically shows you these summarization values. As I mentioned, some fields allow you to only add summarization values. Some field allows you to add only attributes or fields. Call it a average age. I want to add a new summarization or new visualization. I'll create a duplicate. And for this duplicate, I want to change the visualization type and I want a chart. When I do that, if the values are applicable, system automatically shows me the data. In this case, if you see on x-axis, Workday automatically based on the fields that were already added. Workday showing me company on the x-axis. On the y-axis, we cannot add any attributes. Only summarizations can be added. It's showing me on the y-axis average age. And then it's showing me gender as the color option. When gender is shown in the color option, it's basically we have males. Females are shown in this color. Males are shown in this color and on and forth. I can click on this selection at the top of each of these sections. I can come in here. Currently showing me all the companies. I don't want to see all of these companies. What I want is to see only the top 10 companies. I want the data to be sorted based on their value in descending order and only show me the first 10 groups. And after those 10 groupings, everything would be shown as others. And I've said the default is everything else is summed. This is again similar to How on a matrix report we saw a system would only show maximum of 250 rows, and after that everything gets summed or categorized as others. I can also change the display name. The current display name is company for that axis or the horizontal axis. I can change it, override it. I'm saying apply this and this time. System only shows me the first 10 companies and everything else gets into other. With respect to color, we have an option. Again, I have the similar options. What I can also do is similar to what we did with our matrix report, wherein we showed that secondary axis. Here I can show a secondary axis. On the left hand side, on the left axis, it is showing me the average age. Let me remove gender. In each of these companies, this would make it simpler to wish to see. In each of these companies, it's showing me the average age. On the hand side, maybe I want to see the average total base pay of the employees. If you see, there is this icon. Currently, we are seeing a merged graph. What I want is a dual graph, which means I want to see a separate axis on the hand side. Instead of seeing this merge graph, which is the icon I see here, I want to create a dual graph. And here I want to see the total base pay amount. I want to see the total again for currency as I have the option to see the sum of the base pay. If I directly drag and drop this total base pay amount, if you see, this is great. I cannot directly drag an attribute in here. The only thing I can drop is a summarization. I want the average. When I drag the average, I'm able to place it. Some drop zones will only allow you to add attributes. Some drop zones would only allow you to add the summarization fields. The x-axis, if you see, the default option is bars. The y-axis, which is average of total base pay, it is a line graph. These are called marks. I can select a different mark. Y-axis, maybe I need an area and I can select that, and it changes the layout. Out, still can I select a different color, as I mentioned, for any visualization of type matrix. Or advanced, you don't have the option to select a color. It's very simple. As I mentioned, it's drag and drop. You can create new sheets. You can create any number of visualizations. And it's as simple as that. Maybe I want to rename something. I can go ahead and do that. I can go ahead and change the name, which shows on the hand side or on the left hand side and on and forth. It's a very simple, very convenient tool. You can quickly learn it. It's very easy. Let me try one last. I want to add a new visualization. which is of type, let's say, a line chart, maybe a bar chart. This is very similar to this chart, but then this, which this has been. If you see, these are basically exactly the same. I can come in here, let's see if I can change the chart type. No, it doesn't allow me, because this is a bar chart. This is what I can select. However, I think this would allow me. If you see, for here, I can change the color palette. I can select what color I want. And for this, maybe, I want this color. Here I can select what color palettes I need. But in every other sense, this is similar to this report that we created. I can change the orientation of my graph. Maybe this is what I need. Some of these, again based on the type of data you're showing, Workday would only highlight. Or give you those relevant options. For this chart, because I'm showing data on two axes, it would, only it doesn't allow me to change the orientation. It's very, as I've been saying, discovery boards are very convenient tool. Once I've done it all, I can save it. I can add new sheets if I want to. And maybe what I want is, I want to go back to my drive. And when I go there, my new discovery board is available. All I can click, I can rename it. I can make a copy, I can delete it. I can also share it with other authorized users or security groups. And I can excuse me. I can share it in only edit mode or only view mode. I can create my discovery boards. Share it with authorized users. Or I can share it with authorized security groups. Maybe I want to share it with all HR. Admins, all compartments on and for. I can share these discovery boards. Once I share them, they would then automatically appear in the drive of those users, and they can access them from their drive. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.